Merry meet Sagittarius, Sagittarius sun sign, rising sign, and or moon sign. This is a 2-week reading for all Sagittarius starting today, the 13th of February, 2025. This is Ariel and today I am reading with this Tarot de Maria Celia, and I've already purified with this 4711 cologne, and you can find links to purchase these products right in the video description of this video here on YouTube. Let's see what's in the cards for all you gorgeous Sagittarius. Starting off with the 9 of Wands, followed by the 3 of Cups. 3 of Cups, that is, Ariel. And the 6 of Coins. Very nice, Sag. This is great. You know, with the rest and all that, we've talked about this before. I think you're doing better at it, but it just seems like you got to make sure that you're getting the rest that you need. You can't think that more is better all the time. More isn't always better. Sometimes less is more. And that means work too. That means, you know, whatever it is that's causing you to feel fatigued sometimes and to not get the rest that you need and not take care of yourself and prioritize your own well-being over everything else. It's very important that you do that. It's very important that you prioritize your well-being. I think sometimes we think, well, I don't know. I'll do that once I ... You know, once I get to the monetary income that I'm searching for, or once I have all of this work finished, or whatever your thing is, then I'll take some downtime. No, you gotta prioritize you first. And when you do that, what is the purpose of that? Not just so that you get some rest, but that you show your deep mind you're what's important. That you prioritize you. If the deep mind gets at that Sagittarius prioritizes Sagittarius, then the deep mind says, oh, then that must mean that we get everything we want. Right? Because Sagittarius is giving Sagittarius the number one priority, then Sagittarius's happiness must be the number one priority. Let's make sure that we gather evidence to support that belief rather than this other belief, whatever it happens to be. Right? So it takes its cue not necessarily from what you say, but from what you believe. And it understands what you believe based on your actions, not your words necessarily. And if you're always putting off your well-being for some other thing, then it says, oh, I see, Sagittarius is way low on the totem pole of importance, so we'll make sure that everything else is more important than Sag. And then that can show up in all kinds of weird ways. And I think you know that. I think you're clear on that. But I just wanted to mention it since it came up in the reading. But right now it's saying it seems like you're doing well. It seems like that's maybe something that you've already kind of worked out in your own way. Maybe you're not, wording it just the way I did, but it seems like you've come to a healthier mindset as far as taking care of yourself and prioritizing yourself and realizing that that's not egotistical. That's not being a narcissist to prioritize your well-being. That's not. In fact, most narcissists don't prioritize their well-being. They just look like it. Anyway, we're not going to go into that. This 3 of Cups is usually a celebratory card because it's talking about the work that you've done on yourself is starting to show, is starting to prove itself to you. Not only the work that you've done on your career or your business or your money and things like that, but a lot of spiritual, emotional work that you've done in yourself. Some of you have been working real hard in therapy and things like that, and it's really showing. You're very strong. You're even giving yourself the permission to have that H word, happiness. And I love saying that. I love that Sagittarius might actually have happiness because boy, do you deserve that. You really do. You really deserve to be happy, Sag. And I mean, everybody does, but this is your reading, and you've got just such a lovely way about you that I think other people sometimes appreciate more than you do. And that's okay. I understand. But I think you're starting to appreciate that at least you deserve to be happy and that you deserve to be the priority. Now, where you're headed with your money is learning that you can just lean into those feelings and let a lot of the money stuff take care of itself. That a lot of the reasons why you might have been not having the money that you wanted, or things weren't working quite as well as you were hoping, is because you were bringing so much fatigue into the mix. And now it's sort of like, well, let me just let the infinite do it for me. Let's just let the infinite have that. If I need to do something, I'll be told. But I'm just going to focus on happiness right now. Well, the old you is going, no, Sagittarius, no, that's so irresponsible. You can't just be happy. You can't just be happy. You got to work yourself to the bone. And you're understanding that if you prioritize your happiness and your well-being, that a lot of the stuff that you worked so hard for and didn't really achieve as well as you wanted just falls into place. And it's not cheating. It's not cheating. It's not that your work was for nothing. It's just that now you're learning how to work smarter, not harder. And a lot of what seemed like fun before is truly what the work is that's the most profitable. And so you're still working hard, but you're just so happy and enjoying it that it doesn't seem like work. Because the stuff that's not so easy or not so fun or really not aligned with your highest abilities is then going to be able to be offloaded to something else, someone else, somewhere else. Isn't that a nice idea, that I do what I love to do and everything else gets taken care of? And that's kind of where you are. That's the basic gist of the reading so far, is that your happiness, when it becomes the priority, it calls forth the assistance in the areas of your life that you don't like so much, because you don't have to take care of those things. Other energies, other people, somehow, somewhere, some way, it gets taken care of in a way that does not threaten your happiness. You don't have to go back to the old fatigue. Let's put myself bottom. Let's put myself last. You're not going to have to ever go back to that anymore. And you're going to see tangible results of this if you keep up with it. And definitely working with that solar light is a smart idea, especially in regards to money, because you want to be able to let that higher power do the heavy lifting for you, because that's what it wants to do. It's capable of doing that. All right, so we've got a Queen of Wands, a Seven of Swords, and an Eight of Swords. So the Seven of Swords is talking about how the old conflicts are getting resolved, and that's worth celebrating. So then what does the ego do when everything starts to get resolved? You prioritize your happiness, things start working out for you, you start getting what you want, start being able to do the things that you love to do and let other people take care of the things you don't love so much. What does the ego do with that? Obsesses over things. Says, ugh, can't be happy, because what happens if this doesn't happen? What happens if that doesn't work? Right? It tries to pull you right out of the very mindset that you've worked so hard to establish, that is showing you and proving to you that it works. So when things start working out for you and you do prioritize your happiness and things do resolve and you do get to live the life that you want to live on that high level, working with that solar light, notice that the ego wants to destroy that. That's, welcome to the club. You're in a big club. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen. It means that you have to be aware of it and don't go along with it. Don't go along with the ego when it says, okay, that was fun. You had your break. Now let's get back to this. Let's get back to this Nine of Wands, where you're the bottom of the totem pole and you work hard, and maybe one day after everything on your list gets checked off, you can have happiness again. You had your time. That's the ego, what it's going to try to convince you of. So notice that when it happens and just shut it down. And it likes to do with this Eight of Swords, it likes to do that with, it takes one of those little thoughts and just repeats it and repeats it and repeats it and tries to get you obsessing over that, over something. Oh, you got to get back to work. Oh, whatever it is, you have to work extra hours. You got to work extra hours. It's all up to you. Work. Maybe that's the obsession. And you can't stop thinking about that. So you start going to work and you start going back into this old fatiguing way of living where you deprioritize yourself. Well, instead of doing that, once you notice that obsessive thinking, shut it down. You can use my off switch. That's a great tool. Or if you have another tool, use it. But that tool, you can just go to YouTube, search Gotoga off switch. You can learn how to do it in about, I think it's 2-minute video or something. And you can use it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Every single time the ego starts to obsess over you leaving the happy experience that you are finally allowing yourself to experience. Finally letting yourself have this happiness that is your birthright, and things are turning around for you and things are working out for you. Just be on the lookout for when the ego starts to obsess, because the problem is if you don't notice that you're obsessing, it's kind of got you. So just do a scan every so often. Just sort of like make it a daily practice. Like, okay, what am I thinking? Am I cycling? Am I going through it? If I am, let's just use that off switch. Let's turn it off. Am I experiencing joy? Am I experiencing happiness? Are things going my way? Am I loving what I'm doing? Or am I getting fatigued? Am I driving myself back into that hole? Oop, off switch. And then when you do that off switch, everything turns back around. That's what the Seven of Swords is. It's a turnaround. Where there was a problem, there is a solution. Where there was fatigue, there is rest. Where there was scarcity, there's abundance, etc., etc. And you do that by shutting down the obsession, because that obsession is there just as a response to your happiness, because that's what the ego is about. And it's, there's nothing you can do about that right now until we don't want to have an ego anymore. We want to have a different kind of living experience. We have to deal with the fact that we're going to have the ego. But the ego's no big deal if you don't listen to it, right? And so learning how to shut it down when you notice it is very, very powerful. And you're ready, you're poised, Sagittarius, for happiness, joy, success, abundance, everything good. And not deprioritizing yourself anymore, but making number one be number one. It's not arrogant. It's not being selfish to put your happiness first. Because when you put your happiness first, believe me, everybody around you's happy too. Much, much happier. So you're going to do great. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for another 2-week reading, Sagittarius. Until then, blessed be.